Hey everyone, how you doing today? It's me, David, Jersey Boy Music. We're collecting the Beatles 101, and there is a very special reason why this video is appearing on July 12th. Yeah, 12th with an F at the end. It's a Jersey thing, okay? So let's go back in time, because when we collect Beatles stuff, we're also collecting our memories and we're cherishing those memories. And July 12th of 1978, something exciting really happened. Now, keep in mind, John, Paul, George, and Ringo had been split up for 8 years, formally and legally. They made it clear they are never getting back together again. You're really getting into their music as a band, and you see this come up on the TV while you're watching Star Trek on a Wednesday afternoon after school.
Beatlemania is playing to standing ovations across the country, and here's why.
Yeah, I never saw the Beatles in person, but I feel like I have now.
They looked like them, they sounded like them.
It was uncanny.
Better than a chorus line. I've never seen anything like it before, never in my life.
It's very visual. Visual effects are really the last word.
You just have to experience it.
It was like living my childhood again.
It's really good.
It was fantastic. We've seen it twice. I'm coming back again. It was great.
A lot of energy and drive.
I think it's really fun. It's just like the Beatles. Wow.
Beatlemania, the one Broadway show you won't want to miss. See it now, live at the Winter Garden Theater.
Whoa! Imagine me at 13 years old seeing this on TV. I wanted to know as much as I could about this play. Well, here is a little bit about the cast, or I'll just show you the cast from the very first, cast of Beatlemania. So here we have the original Broadway cast, consisting of Joe Pecorino playing John, Mitch Weissman, who became the face of Beatlemania, as Paul, Leslie Fradkin as George, and Justin McNeil as Ringo. And this is the iconic Broadway cast of Beatlemania that made so many appearances on television and parades promoting the show back in '77. So, oh my goodness. Now, as I mentioned, this cast was, in I think all of our brains, the definitive cast of Beatlemania. Mitch Weissman especially was being compared to Paul McCartney. He was on shows like Wonderama and, the Today Show and Mike Douglas Show. Well, the cast was, but then Mitch Weissman would be singled out to sing Yesterday, usually. And man, he looked and sounded like a young Paul McCartney. So, let's now, my big surprise I got on my 13th birthday back in July of '78. Check this out. So here we are, July 1978, getting my tickets to go see Beatlemania with my cousin and his wife at the time. And man, oh man, was I excited. You can probably tell by that picture. So I still have that actual Beatlemania soundtrack album, and I still have my ticket stub, and I'll show you those in just a minute. So, pretty embarrassing. I was sporting that Beatles haircut and everything back then, wasn't I? Well, here's the record album. 2-record set, gatefold cover, really nice. Let's take a little close-up look at it now, shall we? And I'll also, let's take a close-up look at this album, and maybe the playbill and whatever. All right. Okay, so here is my much-loved copy of my Beatlemania soundtrack album. Not the Beatles, An Incredible Simulation. But, they don't, they sound similar to the Beatles, not exact. And this is a edited version of the play. They didn't put all the songs on here, but I'll show you the playbill next. But, I mean, they got pictures in here. It's really, I mean, it's nice. It kind of shows you a little bit what the show is about. And it was a multimedia show, pretty much the history of the 1960s, set to the soundtrack of the Beatles music. So I'll show you what the records look like. I mean, they look like records, but I'll just pull this out. It's still in the original inner sleeve, and on the Arista label. And it was kind of unnerving back then to see basically a Beatles album on something other than Apple or Capitol Records for this young Beatlemaniac. Now here's the my playbill. I still have it. Who's who in the cast? Michael Palakis, Lenny Colocino, Richie Gomez, and Bob Forte. So this is the band that I saw. And let me show you a little bit about that particular band right now. So here we go. Here's my original ticket stub. The matinee, Wednesday, July 12th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And let's see, I should have the set list. Let me get you the song listing here. Just stamp. This is cool to go through, though. Here we go. So we start off with a prelude, which is a little medley. Let's Twist Again, Roll Over Beethoven, Bye Bye Love Hound Dog, and Roll Over Beethoven, which was a sound clip of the original songs. Scene 2 was The Coming, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and She Loves You. As if they were playing on the Ed Sullivan Show. You get those early Beatles. And this show was really geared towards American audiences because it was from our perspective. Making It, Scene 3, so they had a little wardrobe change. Sang Help, If I Fell, Can't Buy Me Love, and Day Tripper. And then the next scene, Listening, Yesterday, Eleanor Rigby, We Can Work It Out, and Nowhere Man. So roughly the songs were in the order, chronological order. Now here's where it got really interesting. They went into the Sgt. Pepper phase, singing and performing songs that the Beatles never could, and technology was advanced enough by then where we could have this on Broadway. Man, and what a treat. A Day in the Life, Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, Magical Mystery Tour, and Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And then the later Beatles, we had Lady Madonna, Fool on the Hill, Got to Get You Into My Life, and Michelle with Get Back. Come Together, With a Little Help from My Friends, All You Need Is Love. Revolution, Helter Skelter, and Hey Jude. Then rounding it out, I Am the Walrus, The Long and Winding Road, and Let It Be. All right, so there you go. Really interesting. As a 13-year-old, I think, you know what, I got to look at this ticket stub again because I was in the orchestra section. I could, if I remember right, I was like in the 4th or 5th, row D, so I was in the 4th row, and I was like right in the middle. It was so cool. And Lenny Colocino, who played Paul, was a lefty. I think he was the first left-handed Beatlemania Paul. And it was just incredible. I mean, you know, looking at the picture, they don't really look like the Beatles, but that's the thing with these tribute bands. Even now, if you want to go see them, you're going to look at their website and maybe look at video clips, and it's like, they don't really look or sound like the Beatles. But when you're there and immersed in that experience, sometimes you could swear that you're listening to the Beatles. The soundtrack album is cool. I haven't listened to it in years, and I gave it a listen now before shooting, and it's cool. Is it an incredible simulation? It's a little bit over the top, like exaggerated Beatles music. The actual music is really cool. It sounds like a live album. And then I also got the souvenir booklet. I also had gotten a T-shirt. I've long grown out of that, and I don't have it anymore. But one really cool little aside is that for about a little over 40 years after I went to see Beatlemania, in August of 2018, I went out to visit some friends in State College, Pennsylvania, and there's a tribute band called the Cast of Beatlemania, which is not really the entire cast. There was many people who played in Beatlemania, but the only cast member in the Cast of Beatlemania was Lenny Colocino, who played Paul. So 40 years and a month after seeing Beatlemania, went to see him. I brought my souvenir book, and I got Lenny to sign. It's a little emotional. I mean, it was so cool. So he signed my souvenir book. It was really neat. And yeah, if he was like 25 back then and you're talking 40 years later, he's in his 60s. But man, even now, he's still, unlike Paul McCartney, real Paul McCartney, Lenny still sounds like a young Paul McCartney. I mean, just really, really cool. So that's my experience as far as Beatlemania. Let me give you a little information about the play. Okay, so Beatlemania, the play Beatlemania, not the actual mania from the Beatles, opened at the Winter Garden Theater May of 1977. It ran until October of 1979, almost 2.5 years. Yeah, just about 2.5 years. It opened at the Winter Garden Theater, which is where I saw it at. It moved then to the Lunt-Fontanne Theater, and then it ended at the Palace Theater in New York. And as I showed you, the initial band was Joe Pecorino, Mitch Weissman, Leslie Fradkin, and Justin McNeil as George, Paul, George, and Ringo, respectively. Now, there was an alternate band, so when the main band would go do their costume changes to keep things rolling and going, they would have a substitute band behind a transparent curtain, which consisted of Randy Clark, Reed Kaling, who was in the Grassroots, P.M. Howard, and Bobby Taylor. That soundtrack album I showed you was released in, spring of 1978, because I got it summer of 78. There was a movie version that was released in 1981. It was pretty cool, pretty good. Take it or leave it. I don't think it's ever been released on DVD. But it was released on VHS. I do have a bootleg DVD burn of the VHS copy. Producers in 1980-ish were accused by Apple of not going through the proper legal channels to secure the rights to do the play, and also accused them of stealing the likeness of the Beatles. As a result, the show, even though it was not playing on Broadway past 1980, there were traveling versions of the show. And in 1986, the courts awarded Apple punitive damages from the play and the movie separately. It wasn't a whole heck of a lot of money. Maybe it was back then. We're talking about maybe $5 million total. But, I'm not adjusting that for today's money. What else? Oh, so besides Reed Kaling, who was of the Grassroots, one notable performer was Marshall Crenshaw, who had a very successful initial solo career back in the 80s, and I think he's still performing. I really love listening to Marshall Crenshaw music. I might do a video about him at some point. And there's some other musicians who were part of the group, the play, that are musicians. They weren't all just like recruited and taught how to play music for the show. Anywho, so really an exciting experience for me. And even though Beatlemania, the play, is long gone, there are countless Beatles tributes band, and this show really opened the way for aspiring Beatle wannabes to be able to get together and do similar plays. So if you ever see, there's a band called Rain, which is a tribute band, and they have had some former Beatlemania Beatles in their bands. Pretty good show, probably the closest to Beatlemania I've seen. Again, there's one called the Cast of Beatlemania with Lenny Colocino. Really, that's a really great shoe. And in I have to say though, my favorite is a band called the Fab Four, which I've seen them in Vegas back in '04, January of '04, and saw them a few years ago here in Ohio. Excellent show, excellent show, excellent show. And I've seen about 12 others, but those are the standouts to me. If you're in California, the Sun Kings are not a look-alike band, but they do sound like the Beatles, and they're another really good shoe. So there you go. I know this is a bit long, but such great memories. So until next time, it's me, David. In my Beatles Corner, we're collecting the Beatles 101. If you're looking for vintage vinyl, vintage music, please check me out at jerseyboymusic.net. That'll take you to my eBay store and see if there's anything there you like. I'll catch you on the flip side, and we'll talk with you next time. Thanks so much for watching.